Welcome to the Wednesday the 24th of June 2026 edition of the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald Talking Newspaper podcast. It has been recorded by volunteers for Bishopbriggs-based charity Q and Review Print Speaking to the Blind. We hope you enjoy it. If you want to learn more about Q and Review and to hear more free recordings for the benefit of visually and reading impaired people from Scottish newspapers, our website is www.qandreview.com. That's www.cuandreview.com.
St Mary's Flock is reeling at news by Kevin McRoberts. A decision to close St Mary's Parish Church in Kirkintilloch, a move which has left the congregation reeling, is likely to be the subject of an appeal. Earlier this month, the Church of Scotland's Scheme of Delegation Committee held a joint meeting of the congregations of both St Mary's and St David's Memorial Park Church, with a recommendation of a united congregation. But St Mary's parishioners were shocked, saddened and disappointed to hear their church was earmarked for closure, with St David's being retained. That decision was referred to a general meeting of the Presbytery last Tuesday, where it was upheld. Addressing the issue on social media, Minister Rev. Dr. Ruth Morrison and Session Clerk Gordon Morrison said while they were able to share their thoughts and feelings at the general meeting, the outcome was very disappointing. They went on to say, "Our next step will be to engage the appeals process to seek a review of the decisions Presbytery have reached. The Kirk session will meet this week to discuss further. As it stands, St Mary's Sanctuary will close and the suite of buildings at St David's Memorial Park will be retained. St Mary's suite of halls will also be retained, which will at least allow the nursery to continue. Many at St Mary's believed their church would be retained, given its prominent position in the heart of the town. However, the Church of Scotland opted for St David's instead, as it was deemed to be in better condition. A Church of Scotland spokesman explained that falling congregation numbers and financial realities meant the church had to adapt and make the best use of scarce resources. He said it was no longer sustainable to maintain two large buildings in the centre of Kirkintilloch, so, after the two congregations were unable to reach a decision on which building should be retained, an independent group recommended St David's Memorial Park building should be retained. The decision to retain St David's Memorial Park was based on the flexibility, adaptability and accessibility of the buildings to deliver mission work, he said. There are modern toilets, a commercial kitchen, an office, and the decor is bright and welcoming. The sanctuary is of a comfortable size to heat and maintain, and plans will be brought forward in the future to modernise the buildings further. The Church of Scotland's priority is to focus its resources on the right spaces in the right places, to effectively share the good news of Jesus Christ in word and deed. We hope a new owner will be found for St Mary's in due course, and would particularly welcome any proposal which maintains its legacy of serving the community." That article was written by Kevin McRoberts, and it was read by Jahan.
This week in history. June 25th, 1969. Pancho Gonzalez and Charlie Pasarell played a record 112-game singles match on Wimbledon Centre Court, lasting 5 hours, 12 minutes. Gonzalez, age 41, won. On this day last year, a sword attacker had been found guilty of murdering a schoolboy and injuring 5 others during a drug-induced rampage in northeast London. Marcus Arduini Monzo, 37, killed 14-year-old Daniel Angerin with a samurai sword and seriously wounded police officers, a pedestrian, and a couple in their home during a 20-minute spree in Hainault on April 30th last year. June 26, 1962. A young American tennis player, Billie Jean Moffitt, 18 knocked out top seed Margaret Smith, the match that began Billie Jean King's long reign at Wimbledon. On this day last year, there was overwhelming evidence that former Barclays chief executive Jez Staley had a close relationship with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, a tribunal has ruled. June 27, 1990. In Brussels, the European Commission ordered the government to force British Aerospace to repay $44.4 million of, quote, sweeteners tied to the sale of the Rover Group. June 28, 1984. After 104 years, the British magazine Titbits stopped publishing. This article was read by Aaron.
Glenn's Trust Benchmark, a report by Julie Curry. Alan Glenn's name is most famously associated locally with the rugby and football club in Bishopbriggs. Born into a farming family near Pollockshaw's, Glen, 1772 to 1850, was a prosperous 19th century builder and Glasgow philanthropist. After an apprenticeship as a carpenter, he set up his own building company and invested heavily in Glasgow city centre property, accumulating significant wealth. In his will, he bequeathed the majority of his fortune to fund a school for the sons of tradesmen with the aim of providing free technical and scientific education for boys from working class and tradesman families. This legacy established Alan Glenn's Institution in 1853, later Alan Glenn's School, which became an acclaimed centre for science and technical education. In 1923, playing fields were acquired for the school in Bishopbriggs. Before the school closed in 1989, the fields were safeguarded with the establishment of Alan Glenn's 2012 Trust. Today the charity still owns the playing fields leased to the rugby club, whose first 15 rugby team finished 4th this year in the West Regional League Division 1. The Trust's main objectives are keeping Alan Glenn's name alive, as well as supporting educational and sporting activities. It oversees Alan Glenn's Endowment Scholarship Trust, which supports engineering students at university. It is currently helping 15 students via the Scholarship Fund. Former pupils also run Alan Glenn's School Club. Members meet monthly for lunch, as well as ensuring their founder's name is never forgotten. Funding received from the lease of the ground in Bishopbriggs to the rugby club ensures the Trust can also support local youngsters. This month, that saw St Matthew's Primary School in the town being granted £2,000. Having spoken to pupils and staff, head teacher Claire Wilson opted to purchase picnic benches and playground games. These were recently presented to the pupils and staff by School Club past president Ian Cairns and fellow member Bob Leckie. Ian said Mrs Wilson and the pupils were delighted with their new picnic benches and playground games. The benches will provide an outdoor classroom as well as an area for the children to eat their packed lunches. It's our aim to distribute £2,000 each year to a school in the Bishopbriggs area to support education locally and continue Alan Glenn's legacy. There are around 350 members of Alan Glenn's School Club. Around 100 live in or around the Glasgow area, a further 100 in the Central Belt, and the remainder scattered across the globe. Monthly meetings are attended by around 50 members, with the most recent also attracting visiting members from Florida, Switzerland and Vancouver. Among the notable alumni of the school are the late Sir Kenneth Calman, the former Chief Medical Officer of Scotland, the late Scottish actor Duncan McCrae, and the late Alexander Robertus Todd, Lord Todd of Trumpington, who was a Nobel Prize-winning biochemist. The school's practical workshops also famously nurtured renowned architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh. That report was written by Julie Curry and read by me, Nikki.
share views on early years care. Parents and carers using early years and out-of-school care services in East Dunbartonshire are being asked to share their experiences with the council. It's almost 5 years since the full entitlement of 1,140 hours of funded early learning and childcare for all 3- and 4-year-olds and eligible 2-year-olds was rolled out. Hours can be in a council nursery with a funded provider, in a private, voluntary, or independent sector nursery, or with a funded registered childminder. The aim is to give families access to high-quality, flexible services. The consultation is designed to find out how it is working. Views are also sought from families using out-of-school care in the area. The online survey launched on Friday and runs until Sunday, July 12th. Councillor Linda Williamson, convener of the Council's Education Committee, hopes as many people as possible will take part. She said, "We are very proud of the education service we offer children and young people at every stage of their lives, but we are always listening and looking for ways to improve and ensure that services are meeting families' needs." By sharing their experiences of early years and out-of-school care, parents and carers will help us build up a picture and shape what we provide for the future. If you have children using any of these services, please take the time to complete the survey and let us know what you think. You can complete the survey on our consultation page. Visit www.eastdunbarton.gov.uk to find out more. This article was read by Erin.
Firearm incident. This article was unattributed. A 28-year-old man who was arrested after a man was injured by a firearm in the Springburn area has now been charged. The incident took place outside an address on Crichton Street around 12:40 p.m. on Thursday, May 28th. A 78-year-old man was taken to hospital for treatment and later discharged. The 28-year-old was due to appear at Glasgow Sheriff Court last week in connection with the incident. Meanwhile, Springburn Road was closed between Kepwick Hill Road and Hawthorne Street following a one-vehicle crash reported to police around 4:30 a.m. last Tuesday, June 16th. Road users were advised to avoid the area as emergency services dealt with the incident. Later that day, officers reported that the road had been reopened and thanked road users for their patience. That article was unattributed.
Firms loving local week. A report by Julie Curry. Kirkintilloch bid threw its weight behind Scotland Loves Local Week and the drive to boost businesses. The transformational impact of choosing local were highlighted as part of events taking place from Saturday, June 13 to Saturday, June 20. With the activity taking place as the country rallied behind Scotland in the World Cup, this year's theme, as reported last week, was flying the flag for local businesses. The campaign aimed to highlight the difference that can be made by getting behind businesses and organisations in our communities. It's a message Kirkintilloch bid stands firmly behind. Businesses in the town gathered together to show their support for the week-long initiative, including Stitch and Yarn, Café Sorel, Nook's Cafe, the Forth and Clyde Canal Society, Nonna's Kitchen and Denisi. The team at Stitch and Yarn, who were named as the High Street Hero for West Scotland in last year's Scotland Loves Local Awards, highlighted their support for flying the flag on social media throughout the week. Liberal Democrat MSP Adam Harley also showed his support for businesses by meeting two owners during the celebratory week. He met club gym manager Ross Hendry, who talked about the inclusive culture in the gym where everyone is made to feel welcome. Kirkintilloch bid is delighted the firm chose to open their third gym in the heart of the town and wishes the team every success for the future. Adam also popped in to say hello to one of Kirkintilloch's more established businesses, award-winning high street hero Stitch and Yarn, to find out more about what it takes to run and expand this successful crafting business. Scotland Loves Local Week is spearheaded by Scotland's Towns Partnership, STP. The organisations also promote Scotland Loves Local, the drive for people to build stronger, more sustainable futures for their community by supporting the businesses in their area. It is estimated last year that an extra £6.6 million per year could be driven directly into East Dunbartonshire's economy if everyone in the region spent just £1 a week more with local businesses. That report was written by Julie Curry.
Take a Dip in Springburn, written by Julie Curry, read by Laura. Springburn Pool is set to reopen in time for the school summer holidays, after a significant refurbishment programme. Glasgow Life, the charity that leads culture, events and active living, confirmed the swimming pool will reopen to the public on Tuesday, June 23rd. The renovation project was carried out to provide swimmers with a more comfortable environment and enable Glasgow Club Springburn to continue serving the community for years to come. Works included upgrading the pool operating system and air handling units, poolside decoration including new tiling, and the refurbishment of the changing village, poolside showers and toilets. New energy-efficient boilers and a modern ventilation system have also been installed to help ensure a sustainable future for the popular leisure centre. The project also incorporated replacing signage throughout the centre with refreshed Glasgow Life branding. From this Tuesday, the opening hours for the Springburn Pool will be Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m, and on Saturday and Sunday it will operate from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. George Hunter, Glasgow Life Libraries, Sport and Communities Director, said, "Glasgow Club Springburn is a valued community facility, and we're pleased to reopen the pool following the significant programme of improvements. Local people can once again enjoy a high-quality space to swim, train and keep active. Built on the original site of the old K Street Baths, the venue opened as a sports centre in the mid-1980s. It went on to become known as Springburn Leisure Centre, a decade later when the swimming pool, a gym facility, dance studio, health suite and soft play area were added. Glasgow Springburn has become a key part of the city's sporting infrastructure. As one of the main public swimming pools serving the north of Glasgow, thousands of people have learned to swim, stayed active and socialised there over the years. Springburn Pool is the fifth swimming pool in Glasgow to be refurbished since 2023 as part of a multi-million-pound investment that guarantees the future swimming in the city for generations to come. Written by Julie Curry, read by Laura.
Showcase celebration of pupils' voices and choices. This article was written by Julie Curry. Primary and secondary pupils from across East Dunbartonshire met at Kirkintilloch High School earlier this month for the My Voice, My Choice Showcase event. Members of East Dunbartonshire Pupil Forum and other pupils came together to share some of the rights-respecting work they had undertaken throughout the year, from posters to learning journals and presentations. Some of the school mascots even made an appearance. Louise Chambers from Scottish Action for Mental Health, SAMH, delivered a workshop on mental health and well-being before pupils were awarded participation and Dynamic Youth Award certificates for all their hard work and the important role they played as school representatives on the My Voice, My Choice Forum. East Dunbartonshire Council launched its authority-wide pupil forum in 2022. It is the first of its kind and sector-leading in the implementation of the United Nations Convention on Rights of a Child. All schools in the council area are represented by at least 2 pupils in the forum, which meets 4 times per year to discuss authority-wide themes as well as other locality-based issues. Now embedded, it follows a rigorous 3-year implementation plan and is a key element within the authority's UNCRC plan for 2024 to 2027. Convener of Education, Councillor Linda Williamson said, "Within East Dunbartonshire, we have a firmly established partnership with UNICEF, and all our education settings have achieved either bronze, silver, or gold rights-respecting schools accreditation. Additionally, one of our primary schools is a UNICEF Good Practice case study school, highlighting education is shaped by learners and children's rights are central to everything. Our pupils work exceptionally hard learning and implementing the rights outlined in the UNCRC. The showcase event was not only an opportunity for forum members to share ideas, but an occasion where their commitment and effort was celebrated. Well done to all members of the My Voice, My Choice Forum. You have done an incredible job this year." This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin.
Career Path Exploration, a report by Julie Curry. Scotland's largest independent medical research charity has helped 210 young people explore medical science and STEM careers. Medical Research Scotland connected the pupils, including youngsters from Bishopbriggs Academy, with experts from the medical research field. This year, the Medical Research Scotland Academy reached more than 1,500 pupils from 44 secondary schools across the country. Many of the young people who joined the Academy were eager to explore studying a STEM-related subject at university or college, and some already have plans to do so after the summer. Covering a range of topics, from the impact of headers in football on the brain to the impact of nutrition, the free 2 Access programme gave S4, S5 and S6 pupils the invaluable chance to hear firsthand from university professors, researchers and PhD students working in medical research. The innovative online academy allowed pupils to live stream lessons directly broadcast to their science classroom and give them the opportunity to ask questions to help make their higher and further education choices. Led by scientists, including PhD students, whose research is funded by Medical Research Scotland, pupils were treated to a series of inspiring presentations. Professor Matthew Walters, Medical Research Scotland chairman, said, "Lots of school pupils are looking towards the next stage of their education, and we've been here to help these considering studying science and other STEM subjects to understand the career opportunities available to them. I'm incredibly proud of the role the Medical Research Scotland Academy plays in streaming researchers directly into classrooms. We give young people the chance to get a glimpse into the exciting world of medical science. With over 1,500 live views across this year's sessions, we're delighted to see the high level of interest in career paths in this field." Medical Research Scotland is dedicated to advancing health in Scotland through the support of cutting-edge research aimed at enhancing the diagnosis, treatment and prevention of diseases. That report was written by Julie Curry.
Appeal for information, unattributed, read by Laura. Road policing officers are appealing for information following a fatal crash on Springburn Road in Glasgow. Around 4:35 a.m. on Tuesday, June 16, police were called to the single vehicle crash involving a black Honda CMX 500 motorcycle. Emergency services attended and the 47-year-old male rider was pronounced dead at the scene. He can be named as Stephen Carlton from Springburn. Sergeant Chris McComb of Glasgow, road policing, said, "My thoughts are with the family and friends of the man who died. We will continue to liaise with them as our inquiries progress. Given the time of the crash, we know the road wasn't particularly busy, but I'm appealing for anyone who saw what happened or saw the motorcycle beforehand to come forward. If anyone has private CCTV or dashcam footage, please bring anything of significance to our attention. Contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 0377 of Tuesday, June 16th. Unattributed, read by Laura.
On His Bike for Mum and Dad by Julie Curry. A Kirkintilloch businessman is on his way to his holiday home in Barga, Tuscany, on his bicycle. It's not the first time Gary McNulty has geared up for the 1900-kilometre journey. He first achieved the goal in 2013, just before he turned 50, while raising funds for a school in Malawi. 6 years later, he decided to repeat the journey, simply for his own enjoyment. However, when Gary set off from home in Kirkintilloch on Friday for a journey he expects to take around 12 days, he had only one goal in mind: raising as much money as possible for Alzheimer's Scotland. Sadly, both his parents lived with dementia for around 4 years before they passed. His dad, Peter, 87, on January 15, 2023, and his mum, Margaret, 89, on July 15, 2024. Having watched the impact the condition had on his parents and the family who loved them both, Gary's determined to raise as much as he can for other families, now living with the same reality. He's already smashed his initial goal of £500, with his Just Giving tally now sitting at £1,573, and he's hoping he may be able to hit £2,000. Gary, 62, said, "Both my parents lived with dementia. They were extremely inspirational to me, and watching them slowly forget the incredible lives they had built together was heartbreaking. Dementia is a uniquely cruel disease that takes the person away and changes them long before they are gone. It truly feels like you've lost them twice. Because my family went through this painful journey twice, I want to do everything I can to support other families currently facing the same reality. Alzheimer's Scotland provides essential care and support when people need it most. I would be incredibly grateful for any donations you can spare to help me reach my goal and support this amazing cause." During his first epic cycle to Barga, Gary arrived on July 4th, just in time for his 50th birthday the following day, when the family celebrated in Italy. Back at home, his mum was the first person Gary called as he made it to the outskirts of the village. "Barga is a mountain village, so it's a bit of a climb," he said. "The last couple of miles, you're on the flat." I was exhausted at that point, and these fireflies just appeared. I'd only ever seen them on the TV before. It was almost like they led me home. I'm not soppy in any shape, way or form, but it was totally magical. And I started thinking about my mum and dad and all they'd done for me. So I decided to stop and phone my mum. I said, "Hi Mum, I'm about half a mile from home and just wanted to tell you how much you and Dad mean to me and how much you've given me." She thought I'd been drinking and told me I shouldn't be on the bike and to get up the road. I could just see her telling my dad, "You need to have a word with him." Well, that phone call sadly won't be possible this time. He knows his mum and dad will be looking down on his journey. There will be no family party at the finish line this year, though. Well, Gary has not set a time limit on reaching Barga, which he thinks he'll do by July 1st or 2nd. He has a very pressing reason to get home fast. It's nothing to do with his 63rd birthday on July 5th, although it is an amazing gift all the same. "My daughter Roisin is expecting and her due date is July 11th, he said. "I've told her she'd better hold on until I'm back, so I've got good reason to finish the trip in quick time." Gary and his wife Anne have 4 children: Maria, 39, Connor, 37, Roisin, 32, and Niamh, 23, who are all supporting his fundraising. Connor is friends with Alessio Fedi, who runs Alessio's Cafe and Bistro in Kirkintilloch. Gary is friends with Alessio's dad, Carlo, who ran the fish and chip shop in Lenzie, and it was Carlo who introduced him to Barga. Gary explained. Carlo was going out to Barga to look at a flat out there. We'd just come back from Spain, but I went along as a bit of a jolly, and ended up buying a small apartment too. It's known as the most Scottish town in Italy. 60% of residents have Scottish heritage. The legendary Nardini family are among the many business owners in Scotland who call Barga home. Gary and Anne are rightly proud of their own heritage. With 5 grandchildren, they can't wait to welcome the 6th addition to the McNulty clan. However, before then, Gary, who runs R&G Financial Services in Kirkintilloch and Mulgai with his business partner Roger Graham, has to complete his cycle for Alzheimer's Scotland entirely solo. Luckily, he's had plenty of helpers overseeing his training. He added, Lee Hay, the spin instructor at the Nuffield Gym in Mulgai, has been putting me through my paces, and the guys there have been very supportive. To have raised £1,500 without cycling a mile is incredible. I'm very grateful. To donate, visit justgiving.com/page/Gary-McNulty-2. That article was written by Julie Curry.
A magical showcase for talented club members. A report by Julie Curry. Bishopbriggs Library was once again filled with colour, creativity and smiles this June as the Magical Crafting Club returned with its summer end of term Crafty Gallery. A special showcase, it celebrated the creativity and hard work of every child involved in the club's after-school classes, giving them the chance to see their artwork proudly displayed for the local community to enjoy. The public gallery ran from June 1 to 7 in Bishopbriggs Library with a special VIP family event which brought children, parents and relatives together to celebrate the young creators behind the work. Run by the Magical Crafting Club's owner and founder Joanna Craig, the gallery has become much more than simply displaying crafts. It's about giving kids recognition for all the effort, imagination and creativity they put into class every single week, she said. The event was once again delivered in collaboration with Bishopbriggs Library, helping bring together families, local organisations and the wider community through creativity. Jo extended her thanks to the library team and East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Culture Trust for their support with its staging. This year's projects have also been supported by Bishopbriggs Gallery and Picture Frames at Hunters Hill Village, which donated cardboard and recyclable materials used throughout the children's creations, continuing the club's strong focus on sustainability and creative reuse. The Magical Crafting Club officially opened the doors to its new premises at Unit 4, Hunters Hill Village, earlier this month. Jo added, seeing the kids walk into the gallery and spot their own work on display is honestly one of the best parts of what we do. They're so proud of themselves, and they should be. Alan Wright, East Dunbartonshire Culture and Leisure Trust's chairman, was pleased to be able to support the business and its young crafters. He said, Bishopbriggs Library was delighted to host a special showcase night in partnership with the Magical Crafting Club, celebrating our young people's art and creativity. That report was written by Julie Curry.
Family announcements. In memoriam. Matheson, Robin. Remembering our much-loved nephew Robin. Gone from our lives but forever in our hearts. Nancy and Norman. That was the only family announcement this week.
Don't Pass Too Close to Protect Cyclists by Julie Curry. officers in East Dunbartonshire have been conducting proactive road safety activities as part of Operation Close Pass. The initiative is aimed at improving the safety of cyclists on local roads. It focuses on identifying motorists who pass cyclists too closely, placing them at unnecessary risk. Drivers observed failing to give cyclists sufficient space may be stopped by officers and dealt with for relevant road traffic offences where appropriate. Throughout the operation, officers monitored driver behaviour on several cycling routes, while also monitoring speeds and other road traffic legislation at other locations. The initiative serves as both an enforcement and educational opportunity, highlighting the importance of sharing the road safely. PS Gavin Murray of Kirkintilloch Police Station said, "Everyone has the right to use our roads safely." Operation Close Pass is designed to protect vulnerable road users and raise awareness of the dangers that can arise when cyclists are passed too closely. Even a momentary lapse can have serious consequences. Officers will continue to carry out Operation Close Pass and other road safety initiatives throughout the year. We encourage road users to play their part by remaining considerate and aware of vulnerable road users whenever they are travelling throughout the road network. The police are also appealing for information following a crash involving a car and an ambulance. Emergency services were called to the incident on Balmore Road around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, June the 16th. A male patient who was in the ambulance sadly later died in hospital following a medical matter. 3 members of ambulance staff travelling in the vehicle were also taken to hospital to be checked over. The driver of the car, a 49-year-old man, was arrested in connection with a road traffic offence, and inquiries are ongoing. Sergeant Neil Galbraith said, "We are appealing to anyone who may have witnessed the crash or have dashcam footage of significance to please get in touch. Anyone with information can contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting Incident 3271 of Tuesday, June 16th. That article was written by Julie Curry.
Wednesday the 24th of June, the letters page. Let's talk. Please send your letters via email to Kirky Herald @jnscotland.co.uk. That's KIRKYHERALD @JNScotland.co.uk. Please write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a daytime phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Standing together for justice. Sir, the attempted murder of an Irish citizen by a Sudanese national is a horrific crime that has rightly shocked our community to its core. There is absolutely no place in our society for such brutal violence, and the public is right to expect that the perpetrator will face the full, unyielding force of the law. Speaking to people across our communities, I completely understand the deep fear, anger, and tension currently being felt by the public. People are anxious about their safety. However, turning to overnight unrest and violence on our own streets is simply not the answer. If people wish to make their voices heard and demand better from our authorities, peaceful protest is the only acceptable way forward in a democratic society. Crucially, in the midst of this tension, we must hold on to our sense of perspective. We cannot let the vile actions of one individual be weaponised to fuel blanket hostility. We must remember that Scotland is home to many migrants who make a deeply valuable, everyday contribution to our country. They work tirelessly in our schools, our healthcare system, our hospitality sector, and keep our essential services running. We depend on them, and they are part of our communities. We cannot allow this tragedy to be used by those who wish to divide us and tear our social fabric apart. Let us stand together, firm on law and order, but united for justice, safety and peace. Yours, etc. Devrura Kumar, former MP and MSP candidate for Glasgow. Ban face coverings. Sir, all over the UK, youths wearing face coverings and carrying weapons are creating havoc and destruction as they ride e-bikes and e-scooters, stealing phones, delivering drugs, injuring pedestrians, some seriously, and committing robberies and random attacks, and even murder. Numerous street demonstrations have ended in violence, with the police suffering injuries caused by masked thugs. Why have the UK's 650 MPs done nothing? They should belatedly pass legislation imposing a nationwide law that bans all face coverings, thus making it easier for the police to identify the culprits and bring them before the courts. Just watch the crime statistics fall. Yours, etc. Clark Cross, by email. Heritage lost. Sir, am I alone in feeling unease at the current policy of the General Trustees of the Church of Scotland in selling off church buildings? While in law the General Trustees are the owners of these buildings, are they taking due cognizance of their greater responsibilities as custodians? Many of these buildings are irreplaceable cultural assets, prominent landmarks which define and give identity to their locale, as the Eiffel Tower epitomises Paris. Many are of significant architectural as well as historical interest and contain items including murals, memorials and stained glass windows. Through the disposal process, these buildings and their fixtures pass into private or corporate ownership, and, in the majority of instances, the current right of access is lost. These buildings and their fixtures exist as a result of the faith, generosity, and creativity of local congregations who have commissioned and endowed them. Many of these gifts are memorials to individuals who gave service to the church, whose personal histories are critical to the community and are interwoven with the fabric. Certain standards have prevailed to ensure their suitable quality. As a result, many key figures from Scotland's artistic community are represented. By the decisions of the General Trustees, Scotland as a nation runs the risk of losing access to a significant part of its cultural heritage. That should concern us. It has a potential knock-on also for our tourism industry, reducing the offer significantly. Would others agree they may not be back, but being actively promoted through this ludicrous scheme that will ultimately leave us all very much the poorer? Yours, etc. Robin H. Roger, by email. Worthy ban. Sir, so the Prime Minister has just announced there will be a social media ban for under 16s because it can be a negative thing for them and is to protect them from their bad influences. I think he should have gone further. Let's say octogenarians. Well, there is one we all know who wants to run the world order through social media. That must be a negative influence, don't you think? Yours, etc. G. Moore, by email. And that was this week's letter page, date Wednesday the 24th of June, read by Ian.
Youth Hub welcomed but concern at 3-year wait, by Julie Curry, reporter, read by Karen McPhee. The locations of almost 180 new youth hubs, including 18 in Scotland, have now been confirmed. A further 10 hubs had already been announced in Scotland, bringing the total to 28 across the country. East Dunbartonshire is among the areas earmarked to get a youth hub. However, it has been designated for Year 3, meaning there will be a wait for youngsters to start enjoying the facility. In the UK, the unemployment rate for 16 to 24-year-olds has risen from 14.2% to 16.2% in the last year, with 110,000 more young people out of work. This prompted Mid-Dunbartonshire MP Susan Murray to stress how much the service is needed in the area now, not in 3 years. She said, "While I welcome the plans to open a youth hub, there is no indication of what services the hub would supply or where the hub would be based. Outreach youth workers are also part of the solution, and they could be on the ground now if the council gave this priority. 3 years is too long for the young people in my constituency to wait for vital support in employment, education and training. There needs to be a more sustainable plan for supporting our young people." The rollout forms part of a national expansion of youth hubs to more than 360. The aim is that any young person will be no more than 1 hour away from a hub. This will ensure vital support is available to more young people, making local support services accessible no matter where they live. Each hub will bring together local mental health and housing support, skills and training opportunities, as well as careers guidance and work opportunities, with links to local employers and live job and apprenticeship opportunities. Pat McFadden, UK Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, said, "We want to make sure young people are getting real personalised support that's not one size fits all. I've seen how it can change lives. Our youth hubs have, over the past 2 years, pioneered this approach, bringing job centres services together with mental health support, housing advice and more. I want to turbocharge this rollout so that every young person has this support within reach." Scottish Secretary Douglas Alexander added, "Extending the UK Government's Youth Hubs initiative to another 18 areas across Scotland over the next 2 years, bringing the total to 28, will help ensure even more young people have access to everything from CV advice to mental health support so they can fulfil their potential. We are ensuring that up to 60,000 young people across Scotland have real pathways into work, whether that's in our growing renewable sector, in construction trades that need skilled workers, or in hospitality. This is about backing Scotland's young people with the support, training and guaranteed employment they need to build careers, not just find jobs." The government is also supporting businesses to hire young workers with a Youth Jobs grant worth £3,000 for every 18 to 24-year-old hired who has been on universal credit for 6 months, while a £2,000 apprenticeship incentive is also available.
Call for evidence in review of banking. Communities, businesses and groups across the country have been invited to share their views on accessing face-to-face banking services. The independent review into banking services has launched a call for evidence. Commissioned by the Treasury last month, the review is examining the impact of changes in access to in-person banking services and identifying whether this is causing detriment to consumers, communities and businesses. The call for evidence is open to individuals who rely on in-person banking, community groups, businesses and organisations working in financial services and inclusion. Richard Lloyd, the Access to Banking Review Chairman, said, "Banking is an essential service needed by every consumer, community and business in the UK. The Access to Banking Review wants to gather the best possible up-to-date evidence of the challenges faced by those who need in-person banking services. This evidence will help to establish the impact of changing services, identify who is most effective, and underpin our assessment of what further action may be required. The review will use the evidence to assess customer needs, the scale of any detriment and the future trajectory of in-service banking services before making recommendations to government in October." Rachel Blake, Economic Secretary to the Treasury, said, "Your experience could shape the recommendations this review makes. Responses should be submitted by the deadline of July 20 via the online survey at www.smartsurvey.co.uk/s/access to banking services.
Social Media Ban to be introduced for under 16s by Julie Curry. The UK government has announced plans to ban social media platforms from offering services to under 16s. It said the aim is to give children back their childhoods, with less time for scrolling and more for play. Using the same model for a social media ban as Australia, it would capture user-to-user platforms, whose purpose is to enable social interaction and which allow users to post up material alongside algorithms. The ban will include platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Messaging services like WhatsApp and Signal will not be included in the social media ban. However, it will go further than a blanket ban on social media, with blocks on harmful functions such as live streaming and stranger communication with children for under 16s. The restrictions, which together with the ban go further than any other country, will apply to a wider range of online services, including gaming sites. Restrictions will also be on by default for 16 and 17-year-olds to prevent a cliff edge. The government will also be looking in more detail at overnight curfews and breaks in infinite scrolling for under 18-year-olds, with more detail to come in July. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, "Parents want to keep their kids safe, but the online world has made that harder than ever. I've heard firsthand from families crying out for change, and we will do right by them. That's why we're going further than any country in the world by banning social media for under 16s and putting wider protections in place to give kids their childhood back. This is a line in the sand. Tech giants had their chance and failed, but we're stepping in to protect children, back parents, and set a new normal for future generations." So-called AI romantic companion chatbots, designed to simulate sexual relationships or role-play with users, will have to enforce a minimum age of 18. Similar intimate functionalities will be restricted for under 18s on AI chatbots more widely. The changes will back parents grappling with the risks for children that come with the online world and help empower them by providing a clear decision on what is safe and age-appropriate. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall said, "We're taking a bold and significant step towards creating a safer, healthier life online for our children and future generations. Tech companies have had countless opportunities to keep children safe, yet they have failed to act. That is why we are taking power away from the tech giants and putting it back in parents' hands. My driving force has always been to give every child, from every background, the best possible start in life. That is what these regulations will deliver." Monday's announcement follows one of the biggest national conversations held by the government, with more than 116,000 responses from parents, children, and experts across the country. The responses showed overwhelming public backing for tougher action, with 9 in 10 parents saying they would support a social media ban for children under 16. Young people also backed action, with 2/3 agreeing that children younger than 16 should not be allowed to use at least some social media platforms. The government has already taken powers through the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Act to act fast, using secondary legislation to introduce targeted protections without needing to wait to bring in a new act. This means the first set of regulations could be in effect by spring next year. The news was met with mixed reviews from those working with children. Mary Glasgow, Children First Chief Executive, said, "The intention of both the UK and Scottish governments to reset the digital culture that is causing widespread harm to children and childhood is clear. It must now be matched with the resource and determination needed to realise it. Given children are likely to find ways around a ban, they will continue to be harmed unless tech companies are forced to implement changes to ensure their products are safe from the start. Bans on social media and smartphones in schools can begin to shift cultural norms, but they will not fix a system designed to maximise profit and ignore protection. Both the UK and Scottish governments must hold tech companies to account and drive a comprehensive public health response to digital harm. Scotland's Children and Young People's Commissioner, Nicola Killeen, said, "The available evidence does not currently show a blanket ban would make children safer online, and it may inadvertently push children to less regulated or riskier parts of the internet. The proposed ban could impact some children more than others. Children in rural areas, children with family overseas, disabled children, and children who rely on online spaces for identity, support, or community may be particularly affected. Enforcing a ban on children takes away the responsibility on platforms to make social media safer." That article was written by Julie Curry.
Good day to you here. It's Philip from Q Review reading the church news under the district news in the Herald newspaper. And there's a short list this week. There's not a huge amount of church news, but first of all, as quite often we do, start at Milton-Campsie. The Adventure Bibles will be in use at this year's Go Mad Wackadoo, which begins on July the 27th. Meanwhile, our leaders and youngsters are preparing for SU Camp at Gowan Bank in Darvel, which begins on Saturday. This month's charity is Alzheimer's Scotland, which provides advice, information and support for people living with all forms of dementia, their families and carers across Scotland. Monday, 9:45, Baby and Toddler Group. Tuesday, 9:30am, Cafe Connect. Wednesday, 7pm, Time to Pray in the Eric Liddell Room. Friday, 1:30pm, Good Times, Cafe Dementia Friendly, Cafe. More information at www.mocpc.org.uk. And now to Springfield Cambridge Church. On Sunday, June the 28th, morning worship will be conducted by the Reverend Ian Taylor in the sanctuary at 11am. The Summer Sunday School will meet in room 2. An offering will be taken place during the services. Please put your offerings in the receptacles as they're passed around. Morning worship is also being live streamed on Springfield Cambridge Church YouTube channel. A link to this can be found on the Springfield Cambridge Church website, www.springfieldcambridge.org.uk, and Facebook page, where up-to-date information about events and church organisations can also be found. Tea and coffee will be available after church in the Cameron Hall. There will be a vestry hour on Wednesday, June the 24th, from 10am to 11am for anyone who would like to speak with the minister. There will be a short midweek service on Wednesday, June the 24th, from 11:10 to 11:30 in the Cambridge Chapel, followed by tea and coffee in the Hall of Fellowship. Tickets for the SAMH concert with Ewan Russell and friends on Saturday, August the 22nd are now available. And Kirkintilloch Church of God at Regent Hall, Regent Street on Sunday. There will be a communion service at 10:30am. And there will be no 4pm Sunday afternoon service through June and July. The next family praise service will take place on Sunday, August the 2nd. The coffee corner will be closed for the summer period. We thank friends and neighbours, old and new, who have regularly joined us for coffee and home baking over the past months. I look forward to seeing them again when Coffee Corner reopens on August the 19th. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website www.regenthall.org. And a quote from the Bible: "Everyone who calls upon the Lord will be saved." And that's Romans 10 verse 13. And now to St James Church in Bishopbriggs. They still don't have a minister there, but they still have services. And there is a communion service at 11am on Thursday, June the 25th in the chapel, and on Sunday, June the 28th in the chapel at 9am and 10:30am in the church with hymns. Everyone is welcome to come along to any of these services. Do stay on for tea and coffee and fellowship afterwards. There are also other virtual services and groups for up-to-date and further information. Refer to our social media. Facebook, St James LS Bishopbriggs. Website, www.stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. Home church in Lammermuir Road, Kirkintilloch. And a text says, "You will keep perfect peace, whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." That's from Isaiah 26:3. Home Church Scotland has 8 locations in various parts of central Scotland, etc. And they're also online. The Home Hub in Kirkintilloch Main Street is open for tea and coffee, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. And that's in the Main Street in Kirkintilloch. Worship services 9:30 and 7:30 upper room for worship and prayer. Morning worship service is followed by refreshments. Also children's church at the same time as the morning services. Communion is on the first Sunday of the month. Saturday, June the 27th, is the ladies' breakfast with speaker at 9 a.m. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m, home groups in various locations. Thursday, 7 a.m, prayer meeting at the Hub. 7 p.m, home young adults united at Strathclyde University. 8 p.m, football. Friday, coffee and craft at the Hub. 10 a.m, youth fellowship. 7:30 p.m, prayer meeting at 7:30 p.m. as well. Home radio is available 24/7. Check out Facebook, Instagram and Home Church website for more information. St Mary's Church in Kirkintilloch, the centre. The service on Sunday, June the 28th, will begin at 11 a.m. as usual, and there will be age-appropriate activities for our young people in the halls during the service. Wednesday welcome will not take place in the church on Wednesday, June the 24th, as they will be enjoying a morning out together. They will resume for their final meeting before the summer on Wednesday, July the 1st. On Wednesday, July the 1st, we will be holding one of our monthly open door days, when the church will be open from 10:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Tea, coffee and biscuits will be available during this time. St David's Memorial Park Church. On Sunday, June the 28th, our service will be led once again by Meg and Bill Lindsay, when their theme of giving up for God. The short all-seated lunchtime service is in the small hall at 12 noon, and everyone is invited to stay afterwards for tea and coffee. The Friendship Club meets every Tuesday during the summer months at 1:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. Please come along and enjoy the afternoon in a good company with a wee cup of tea and coffee as usual. Torrance Parish Church. The morning service in person at 10:30 a.m. conducted by the minister, Stuart Evan. During the service, the youngsters meet together in Crest Junior Church and Frog, which means Friends of God. To join the service online, click all the W's, torranceparishchurch.online.church. The cafe is open every Wednesday 9 till 12 noon for teas, coffees and delicious home baking. Why not come and taste for yourself? To find out about regular and weekly activities, check the website for what's on at www.dbc.org.uk. And that's all the information from churches this week. Lots of them must be having holidays, etc. And I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're coping with all this hot summer weather. I've had a great time. I've been out filming last week, which kept me busy. And then at the weekend, I was at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall singing with the Praise Gathering Choir. Hopefully we managed to come along to one of the concerts which were sold out. And it was an amazing time. 500 adults and 100 children, plus a band and plus guests. And it was a phenomenal weekend praising and worshipping God. Anyway, continue to praise and worship God in your own home church or any of the meetings that are happening. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Take care. Bye.
Wednesday the 24th of July. District News. Dogs Trust West Calder. Dogs Trust currently has hundreds of dogs in its care who are ready to meet someone like you. They are open to the public 5 days a week, and you don't need an appointment to visit, get advice or apply to adopt. Visit www.dogstrust.org.uk/rehoming/our-centres/West-Calder. Seniors Forum. Kirkintilloch and District Seniors Forum are looking for new members to join our monthly meetings. The objective of the forum is to assist in improving quality of everyday life for the elderly community, together with social events, guest speakers from NHS, council, local history and many more. We welcome the over 55s to come along, have a chat, get involved and meet new people, forming new friendships. We meet in the Park Centre, 45 Kerr Street, Kirkintilloch, G66 1LF on the last Thursday of every month from 10:30am to 12 noon. Tea, coffee and biscuits served. Friends of Forth and Clyde. Friends of Forth and Clyde meet every Friday from 12 noon until 2pm at the Boat Users Block, Southbank Marina, Kirkintilloch. Everyone is welcome to come along and get a free cuppa and some friendly chat. No membership required. St Columba's Hill Head Church Men's Club. Following another successful Monday night sessions, which saw a number of new members join from both within the church and the wider local community. The new year saw members, as usual, enthusiastically competing to be champions in respective games, including snooker, table tennis, carpet bowls, pool, darts and dominoes, whilst enjoying tea, good banter and all importantly having a laugh. A very warm welcome would await anybody who would like to join this friendly band of brothers when the next winter sessions resume on Monday, October the 5th at 7:30pm in the St Columba's Hill Head Church Halls, Old Isle Road, Kirkintilloch. For further information, contact the Secretary on 0141 776 5453. Royal Highland Show. Show celebrates Scottish farming. A coup cools down at the RHS. A sellout Saturday, a dedicated family day to day, and selfies with Saturday Night TV star Shelley McCoy made for a spectacular and successful Royal Highland Show as the very best in farming and rural life gathered at the Royal Highland Centre across the last 4 days. Over 210,000 people came together to enjoy everything the show had to offer this year, with agriculture at its heart. From champion livestock and competitive equine classes to the latest in agri-machinery, equipment and technology, the show once again brought together the people, businesses and innovation driving Scotland's rural economy. Visitors were able to see firsthand the skill, standards and expertise across the sector, from the show rings and judging lines to machinery displays, practical demonstrations and conversations around the future of farming. Alongside the traditional displays, families and visitors enjoyed a packed programme of activity including sheepdog trials, mountain bike displays, hobby horsing, fly fishing demonstrations, wood carving and choreographed stunt displays from Outlander-inspired rival clans. Food provenance also took centre stage in Scotland's larder, where exhibitors showcased local produce, alongside cooking demonstrations exploring everything from the superpower of seaweed and ingredients from the northeast to big flavour cheeses and food science. Scottish BAFTA winner Shelley McCoy met with excited fans as she gathered outside Ingleston House beside the giant RHS letters to capture selfies on Sunday. The show came to a sensational conclusion with a stunning display by the Lonach Highlanders and Lonach Pipe Band as they participated in a parade of the show's main ring and President's Salute as part of the event's presidential initiatives Aberdeenshire Showcase. Saturday evening of the show saw the Royal Highland Show present The Reeling, bringing some of Scotland's biggest contemporary folk acts together, including Skipinish, Breabach, Elephant Sessions, Canaris Quintet, Dlu and Dougie MacLean. Other well-known visitors to this year's show included First Minister John Swinney, who, whilst on site, sampled haggis as a US legalised Scotland's national dish. TV presenter Michael Portillo was also at the event filming for his Great British Railway Journey series. The Royal Highland Show is the biggest fundraising event for organisers, RHESS, the Royal Highland and Agricultural Society of Scotland. What's on? Schools Art Exhibition. Young artists imagine and depict what a more just and compassionate society might look like. Kirkintilloch Town Hall until August 14th, 10 AM to 4 PM, Monday to Friday, free admission. Zippos Circus. Scotland's favourite circus, Zippos Circus, is celebrating 40 years on the road for its 2026 anniversary tour and is coming to Woodhead Park, Kirkintilloch from July 30th to August the 3rd. The Celebration Show is packed with spectacular international acts including the Jumping Jacks, a springboard team from Ethiopia, double contortion and foot juggling from Eritrea, a stunning aerial display from British-born Jackie Louise, nail-biting crossbow from the Phoenix Rebels, and hilarious clowning from Europe. Backed by popular demand is one of the world's smallest showmen, Paulo dos Santos from Brazil, who hosts a show and performs a stunning strap act high in the big top. Tickets, zippos.co.uk/tickets. Wearing Japan, a visual history of kimono. People are being offered a rare chance to see beautiful clothes and find out the fascinating history behind the fashion. Wearing Japan, a visual history of kimono, is being held at the Aldkirk Museum in Kirkintilloch until August the 6th. The free exhibition looks at the story of women's kimonos, how they have been made and how they have changed over the last 100 years or so. There will be more than 30 kimonos and accessories on display. Open Tuesday to Saturday, 10 AM to 1 PM and 2 PM to 5 PM. Closed Sunday and Monday. Admission free. For more information, call 0141 777 3013 or visit www.edlc.co.uk/venues/Ald-Kirk-Museum. Bishopbriggs Market. Scottish Markets is proud to present the launch of Bishopbriggs Market at the Bishopbriggs Library on Saturday, June 27, and on the fourth Saturday of the month thereafter. With over 30 independent and family-run businesses from surrounding areas and far across Scotland, we aim to make each market different from the last and bring a variety of different traders to our events. We are always on the lookout for local traders and businesses. Come and join us on June 27th, 10 AM to 3 PM, as we welcome the likes of the Crumbologist, Wee Knob of Butter, the Wee Macaroon Company, Rich Bakes by Louise, and lots more. Our events are free to enter, family friendly, dog friendly, and will run in the sun, rain or snow. Come on down and say hello. Calling young artists. Aldkirk Museum is calling on local artists aged 14 to 25 to take part in our first ever Young Artists Arts Exhibition. 3 prizes are available. Pick up an entry form from the Aldkirk Museum or William Patrick Library in Kirkintilloch, or email museums@eastonbarton.gov.uk. The deadline for entries is July 25th. Chicago. David Ian for Crossroads Live in association with Barry and Fran Weisler announced today the 2027 UK and Ireland tour of the multi-award winning musical Chicago. The tour will return to the King's Theatre, Glasgow from Monday, May the 10th until Saturday, May 15th, 2027, with casting to be announced soon. Set amidst the razzle-dazzle decadence of the 1920s, Chicago is the story of Roxy Hart, a housewife and nightclub dancer who murders her on-the-side lover after he threatens to walk out on her. Desperate to avoid conviction, she dupes the public, the media and her rival cellmate Velma Kelly by hiring Chicago's slickest criminal lawyer to transform her malicious crime into a barrage of sensational headlines, the likes of which might just as easily be ripped from today's tabloids. Created by the musical theatre talents of John Kander, Fred Ebb and legendary choreographer Bob Fosse, Chicago's sexy, sassy score includes the show-stopping songs Razzle Dazzle, Cell Block Tango, and All That Jazz. Winner of 6 Tony Awards, 2 Olivier Awards and a Grammy, Chicago is the longest running American musical in Broadway and West End history. Since it opened in New York in 1996, Chicago has played in 38 countries worldwide and been performed in English, Dutch, German, Swedish, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Italian, French, Danish, Japanese and Korean. Worldwide, it has been seen by an estimated 35 million people, grossed over $1.8 billion, and has played over 36,000 performances. Chicago, which is based on the play by Maureen Dallas Watkins, has a book by Fred Ebb and Bob Fosse, music by John Kander, and lyrics by Fred Ebb. That was this week's District News, read by Ian.
Legend is Leaving by Brian Yule, reporter, read by Karen McPhee. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy has announced that Captain Scott Walker will be departing this summer after a decade with the club. Walker arrived from Blantyre, Victoria in 2016 and quickly hit the ground running, making the right-back berth his own. He helped Rob Roy win the Central Sectional League Cup in his first season and would go on to lead the club as captain through its period of exile from Kirkintilloch. Walker picked up runners-up medals in both the West of Scotland Cup and South Challenge Cup before his proudest moment came at the start of the 2024-25 season. He led the Rob Roy out for their first home match in Kirkintilloch for over 10 years, as Renfrew were the visitors to the new Kirkintilloch Community Sports Complex. Last season saw Walker complete his 10th year of service to Rob Roy and was rewarded with a testimonial match against his old side Clydebank for his 250th and final appearance in red and black. A club statement said, "The word legend is bandied about too often in modern day football, but not in the case of Scott Walker. It is the minimum to describe a man whose endeavour, tenacity, leadership and loyalty was in full display in 250 of those matches. Scott Walker may be moving from Rob Roy, but Scott Walker's legacy at Rob Roy is indiminishable." Walker wrote in his testimonial programme, "The last 10 years have flown by and there's been plenty of ups and downs, but I wouldn't change any of it. It's been an honour to lead the team. Rob Roy has been a massive part of mine and my family's lives, and maybe I'm being biased, but I don't think there is a better club at this level. I could probably go on all day about what it means to me, but I just hope I have represented the club well and given you all something to be proud of."
Teaming up to produce a range of World Cup pies. Milton-based Pie Sports has teamed up with Aldi to launch a series of limited edition pies inspired by the World Cup. The 3 host nations, USA, Canada, and Mexico, are honoured with the chili cheese dog pie, £2.89, the maple barbecue brisket pie, £2.89, and a Mexican spicy beef pie, £2.89. They also launched a Stovey pie made with premium link sausage in a nod to Steve Clark's men who play Brazil in their final group game tonight. Brian Zaraflovic, managing director of Pie Sports, said, "The World Cup is the biggest stage in football, and getting to create a range of pies that takes inspiration from the host nations while celebrating everything that makes Scottish baking brilliant has been an absolute joy. We think fans across the country are going to love them." Brownings, creators of the famous Killie pie, have also contributed to the range with the Tartan Army pie, £1.99, made with minced and potatoes. Bell's are also part of the team with its Mexican chicken fajita pie, £2.49, Philly cheesesteak pie, £2.49, and a maple bacon mac and cheese pie, £2.49. Alan Leslie, buying director at Aldi Scotland, said, "Pies are loved by supporters across the country, and with so many fans cheering on from home, creating a special range of tournament-inspired pies made perfect sense. It's an exceptional lineup that showcases the innovation and craftsmanship of what Scottish producers can do." This article was read by Erin.
Community Doing It For Themselves, written by Margaret Greer, read by Laura. The official launch of the new Cycling Without Age Scotland CWAS Twecker chapter took place at Twecker Healthy Living and Enterprise Centre. There was a fantastic atmosphere as residents, partners and supporters came together for the event on Friday, June 12th. It brought together a wide range of community representatives and dignitaries, including Eastern Bartonshire Provost Gillian Rennick, Kirkintilloch North East and Twecker councillors Pamela and Aidan Marshall, and newly elected Strathkelvin and Bearsden MSP Adam Harley. They were joined by Christine Bell from CWAS, members of Walk, Run, Cycle, Eastern Bartonshire, WRCED, pupils from the Twecker Primary School Eco Committee and representatives from the Eastern Bartonshire Climate Action Hub. Also present were local residents and the dedicated volunteers whose enthusiasm and commitment have made the project possible. Guests enjoyed refreshments and celebration cake before experiencing short rides on both the chapter's new Trishaw and side-by-side bicycle. This showcased the joy and freedom that accessible cycling can bring while helping tackle social isolation and strengthen community connections. Christine Bell praised the achievement, saying, "I would particularly like to commend CWAS Twecker. Altogether an outstanding example of communities doing things for themselves." The launch highlighted the strength of partnership working across Twecker and the surrounding area, with local organisations, volunteers and supporters all playing a key role in bringing the project to life. Cycling Without Age is a worldwide movement dedicated to creating opportunities for friendship, conversation and inclusion through the simple pleasure of sharing a bike ride. Congratulations and thanks go to everyone involved, particularly Team CWAS Twecker, whose hard work and dedication have created an exciting new asset for local people. Anyone wishing further information, volunteering opportunities, or to arrange a ride can email cwastwecker@gmail.com. Written by Margaret Greer, read by Laura.
Speedway. Freddie delivers the first maximum of his career. Report by Phil Lanning. Glasgow Tigers boss Cammy Brown hailed hero Freddie Hodder after his side picked up their first away win in the championship this season. Tigers won 49-41 at Oxford Cheetahs last midweek, with Hodder being the star of the show with a paid 12-point maximum from reserve. He was backed up by Leland Funt and Kel Howarth, who both contributed 10 to the total. Oxford made the perfect start with 5-1 in Heat 1, but a 5-1 in the next from Hodder and Mario Halsall made it level. Hodder then repeated the feat in Heat 4, with Howarth to put the Tigers in front. Howarth delivered a 5-1 with Halsall in Heat 9, and Joe Peterson beat Sam Masters as as Tigers' lead increased to 8 points. Cheetahs hit back with a tactical substitute 5-1 in Heat 11, but Hodder then passed Anders Rowe to deliver a 4-2 in the next. Pedersen and Halsall packed in for a 3-3 to wrap up the points in the penultimate heat. Brown said, "It's an absolutely huge win for us. After the disappointment of losing at Berwick, this is just to shorten the arm we needed. It was simply an incredible performance from Freddie. He was a hero. He got his first ever maximum of his career away from home is out of this world. This is the Freddie that we know can deliver. Now the key for him is doing it more often. But it also must not overshadow equally vital displays from Kevin and Mario. They made their debuts at Oxford and did a fine job. Leon and Kel both got double figures. That's what we need. And Sam Hagon was steady. Chris Harris had an off night, but luckily the other boys covered for him on this occasion. So many times Chris has carried the team, it was nice he was given a night off for a change." Tigers then went top of the table on Saturday with a 51-39 win at Workington Comets. It was a powerhouse all-round display, but Brown singled out young German rider Halsall for claiming paid 9 points at reserve. He said, "Mario really was super, and he delivered 2 fantastic performances this week. He got paid 8 at Oxford, and then paid 9 in Workington. He was outstanding in both meetings. People forget he's only 19, but he's starting to find his feet and is now doing a great job for us. But it was another proper team performance. Our boys won the first 7 races and really suffocated Workington. We didn't give them a sniff. Sam was also fabulous, winning his 2 opening races. Our top 3 did all their jobs, and special mention for Leon as he top scored with 11. Leon has been a tower of strength recently. He looks so polished and has developed into a top class scorer. Chris played the perfect team role while Kyle reeled off 3 wins. Freddie had a tougher day with bike issues, but still battled until the end. It's great to go top of the league. I felt we were a whisker away from getting the results we needed, and now we've just got to keep this run going. Tigers return home to Ashfield this Friday for the visit of Pool Pirates. That article was written by Phil Lanning.
City has agreed to let Tanaka depart. Glasgow City has agreed to terminate the contract of Japanese winger Mibe Tanaka early so she can move closer to home. The 30-year-old arrived from Wellington Phoenix on a 2-year deal last summer, becoming the first Japanese player in the history of the club. She would go out to 16 appearances for City while contributing 3 goals and picked up a Sky Sports Cup winners' medal. Tanaka, who has also played in her homeland, South Korea and Australia, said, "I'm incredibly proud to have spent this season as part of Glasgow City FC. I was surrounded by amazing teammates, club staff and supporters, and I learned so much, not only about football, but also as a person. Every day brought new lessons and memories that I'll always treasure. I'm also truly grateful to everyone who supported and respected my decision. I'll continue supporting Glasgow City from the bottom of my heart and wish the club nothing but success in the future." A club statement added, "We thank Mibe for her contributions on the pitch and her infectious personality off of it. Wherever her journey takes her next, she will always have a place to call home at the Peasy." Tanaka's departure follows on from fullback Chloe Warrington deciding to leave after 4 years with City. Meanwhile, as holders City have been given a bye to the second round of the Sky Sports Cup.
That's the end of the 24th of June 2026 edition of the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald Talking Newspaper podcast. All being well, there'll be another one next week.